going to preface my question by stating that I cried my eyes out at the ending of Earth Shock to the point where the children I was babysitting asked me what was wrong.
So did I.
And because of their reaction, it was because it broke my team targets, which the four of you were and still are. And on that note, Peter, you're actually the first doctor I met in Denver in 1986, actually the day of my junior prom. Yeah, actually my prom date night went to the convention because the day of the prom meeting. But on that note, we were always telling you our stories, oh, when I first encountered blah, blah, blah. I'm curious what each of you finds memorable, whether odd, whether good, whether bad, of your first encounters with us.
Wow. Well, I remember my very first convention was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Hotel Camelot, called because it had a concrete moat around the outside of it. The very first question I was asked was a question about something that had happened in Patrick Troughton, one of Patrick Troughton's stories. And I realized then that at least somebody out there in the audience actually thought that I was the sort of regenerated doctor who would know the answer to what had happened in a Patrick Troughton story in 1965 or whatever it was. And then I remember doing my first press conference, and someone said to me, do you ever worry, this is shortly after John Lennon had been shot, or he'd been shot a couple of years before, and they said, do you ever fear for your safety when you come to America? I thought that's really cheered me up no end. Thank you very much indeed. But it was kind of, in those days, of course, when I first attended those conventions, I used to appear in my costume, and then I would meet sort of 55 other people all dressed as me. I decided that it wasn't really worth coming in my costume because there were enough of them. But no, generally speaking, you were great, I think. Slightly eccentric, shall we say, but charming nonetheless. And actually, I'll tell you one thing about as a general thing, is you're most extraordinarily tolerant and open to all sorts of strange and wonderful people that turn up at these conventions, and you're all welcomed as one great big family, and I found that quite extraordinary. I remember doing a question and answer session, and there was a dominatrix with a man on a dog lead on the front row, and nobody seemed to turn a hair. An extraordinary group of people, no matter what your strange aberrations might be, or particular, eccentricities, you were wonderfully welcomed as one, so that was wonderful.
My first encounter with British fans, when I started doing conventions, they weren't paid. The British ones weren't paid. You literally got your bus fare. You went to the event and they gave you 50p for the bus or the tube, and that was really it. And to make up for this, people got stinkingly drunk. Everybody, I mean, all the cast and all the.
I think that's you, not. I don't remember many of that.
I never was stinkingly drunk at fan conference.
Oh, no. Oh, maybe it was me.
I think you were too stinkingly drunk to observe that the other people weren't actually stinkingly drunk.
Yeah. By the way, I'm Sarah Sutton. This is Matthew. This is Sarah Sutton. Yeah, I was stinkingly drunk at all the conventions I went to. Somebody told me that when they started paying Doctor Who actors to go to conventions, the cost of doing a convention dropped because the bar bills disappeared. The bar bills at the early convention were so huge that they were more expensive to run than when they started paying.
To pay something and pay the bar bill.
Bizarre.
Yeah, right, say so.
I can remember going to a convention in Swindon, which was to raise money for Cocktail, because Colin's a charity, and getting into the lift with a guy who was dressed very bizarrely indeed, and of indeterminate gender, and he and his friend, I looked at them and I said, oh, those are interesting costumes. What particular episode are they from? And they said, oh, these aren't from any particular episode. We have our own private universe. I'm trapped in an elevator with these two people for another 5 or 6 floors.
Yeah. Well, or are you on the way to another universe?
Or on my way to another universe, exactly.
Talking about Tulsa, I did a very little thing recently, a little appearance in Tulsa a month ago. It's fascinating because Tulsa is the heart of the Bible Belt, and there's only 2 tourist attractions in Tulsa. One is the praying hands of Oral Roberts. It's a great sculpture, and another is a sort of 20-foot high statue of Oil Man. Which unfortunately, when it was built, he was just a fully dressed oil man, but nonetheless there was a little bulge around his thighs. And apparently Oral Roberts University objected to this, and the sculptor had to come and sand this thing down to get rid of the bulge. So this is real Bible Belt time. I went to this event, and it was just full of extraordinary and unusual people. It was, the guy who was helping me out was this sort of guy who was transgendering from a man to a woman. There was an extraordinary woman there who had a husband, a boyfriend, and a girlfriend, and she told me all about her life. It was really interesting. So in the middle of the Bible Belt, coming to this Doctor Who event, there were all these really extraordinary people, and it was fascinating, quite exciting.
We can no longer...
Sorry. Yeah. We
I thought that was interesting.
It was fascinating.
Fascinating. and the way you tell it.
I no longer think of the fans as being particularly strange when we have Matthew sitting up here.
If you could just each share what your favorite episode was, as far as the writing was, what you enjoyed about it.
Favourite episode? Well, mine was the last story I did, which was James Van Drazani. Because it was a complicated story, and I think it was fantastically well written, and I think it was fantastically directed. And it's just a nice way to go out on.
I think mine is the Doctor's Wife, which I love that story. But of the stories, I also love was it Satan's Pit? I love that as well. But of the stories that I was in, Kinder and Snake Dance.
Kinder scared the heck out of this little guy.
Ah.
This wild kid through that one.
Oh, good. It's supposed to scare you. No, it is.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
But
Kinder's actually interesting because it's one of those ones that I don't think would have been commissioned had the programme not been run by John Nathan Turner. He's into showbiz and stuff, and yet he commissions this extraordinarily good and unusual Doctor Who story, which is unlike any other Doctor Who story anybody ever did.
I repeat, are you on drugs?
What was it? What was the story?
Your favourite story?
Kinder.
Oh, it was Kinder. All right. So good. Excellent.
I just have a really quick question. You're wearing glasses now.
Yeah.
So did you need glasses as a person during the Fifth Doctor?
No, I just thought it would be fun to have glasses so you can take them off and on and things like that. But then I kept forgetting when to do it. I didn't actually wear glasses, so I didn't have any clear idea of when I should be wearing glasses or not. The reason Janet's looking at me like that is because she detested the glasses and thought that they were an affectation, which is precisely what they were. I just thought it was really good because great things you can do with glasses, you know, you can go with the top of them. It's an awful lot of effort when you're acting in a good lot of that.
Now that he actually does wear glasses, he fiddles with them a lot less.
I do now have 3 pairs for different distances. That's how tragic I've become. Sort of karma has come back to get me. Yeah. No, I didn't need your glasses, no.
Hello. I'd like to preface this by saying something that might get someone to throw a brick at me, but I actually rather quite like Adric. kid needed was a hug, the entire time.
Quite right.
But I think I did hug him, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. Well, John Nathan Turner had
Adric was the only one I was allowed to hug. I wasn't allowed to hug the girls.
It's true. John Nathan Turner had this policy about the doctor couldn't touch the women, so the only person he could touch was me.
Now I think about it, was there some kind of agenda?
Could easily have been.
Anyway, sorry, yes, no, we love Adric.
And your question?
I do have a question. Now, I know, Jenny, you've been answering this question for the past couple of days, but I was wondering, addressing Peter and Matthew, Matthew, if you could have played the Doctor, how would you have played it? Peter, if you could have played a companion, what kind of companion would you have liked? That was good.
How would I have played the Doctor? Brilliantly.
I would have used Matthew as my blueprint for my companion. And tried in my humble way to emulate his extraordinary powers of companionship.